We're rolling into the fantasy playoffs in week 15, and we got some decisions to make. A lot of us have to still make those lineup decisions. We're looking at these running backs we picked up off waivers and deciding whether or not we put them in our lineup, whether or not we need them. Ty Chandler is one of those running backs, having tons of conversations about him, seeing a lot of discourse in social media about him as well. A lot of people are starting him because they have to, and they need the touches. They need those opportunities in their lineup, and they're just going to roll with it. But a lot of you guys have questions, so we're going to talk about Ty Chandler today, whether or not you need him for fantasy football. We're going to talk about the upside. We're going to talk about the matchup. We're going to talk about Ty Chandler in general. But what you need to do right now is click that subscribe button. Tap it with the finger on your phone. Click it on the mouse on your computer. Whatever you need to do to get the job done. We're going hot and heavy on the waiver wire every single day. We're helping you with these tough decisions. We're helping you set those lineups. We're a key resource for your drafts in the off season, where we're going over the advanced analytics, the player values, and everything else. Click that button. Stop missing out. And where this all starts is with Alexander Mattison being out with an injury, and this is going to allow Ty Chandler to own the backfield, get opportunities, get touches. This is his time to shine. This is a good opportunity for him to be a league winner this week, to really get your team over the top if you're hurting at running back. Looking at Ty Chandler, it's kind of been a quiet season, but it's been ramping up as well, too. Week 10, we've been productive with 10.5 fantasy points. Week 11, 15 fantasy points. Week 12, 2. 13 was a bye week. 14, we have 7.2 PPR fantasy points. Ever since Cam Akers went out, Ty Chandler has been up. Alexander Mattison was dinged up a little bit during that time as well. But now we're getting opportunity for him to shine. We're seeing him get some opportunities here in the back half of the season. Him being able to score some fantasy points. And then seeing the opportunities increase here. Week 10 and 11 and 14. Very encouraging. 15 to 14 touches and targets per game. Something you want to look at there, and that should be around that range or higher this week against the Bengals. And then always, he's a home run hitting threat anytime he has the ball in his hands. And you have a home run hitter seeing 15 to 20 opportunities in a game. That is a player you want. That is a player you love having in your lineup, because you do not know what you're going to get. You might get a player here that just scores enough to get you by, or he sees daylight, the defense breaks down, and he goes for a long gain. He did have a touchdown called back a few weeks ago that if that happened, it probably would have rallied the troops, and the hype would have went over the moon for Ty Chandler, because that would have erupted his fantasy scoring output for that week. He was already scoring good, and now we don't have that, and we can really catch him on the silent right now and put him in our lineups. If he's still there on waivers, get him and just stash him just in case Madison's out for a bit. But he should be rostered right now. I have not checked the roster rate. Should be rather high considering he's a hot piece right now off the waiver wire. 4.38 40-yard dash. Burst score's a little low, but the size adjusted speed's what matters. Vikings at the Bengals, 40.5 over under. Very interesting contest here to look at. Very interesting since we have Nick Mullins in line to start a quarterback for the Vikings. How's that going to play out? Are they just going to hand it off to Chandler a lot? I don't think so. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison. They can't stuff the box because of them. They can't do that. Even though you got a jabroni quarterback, you can't stuff the box. That jabroni quarterback's just going to toss it up to Hawk, to Jefferson, to Addison. You got some weapons there keeping them at bay. Now we're looking at the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense ranked 16.7 PPR points per game. Ranks 15th in the league. It says Vikings run defense up there, but this is the Bengals defense. Got it crossed up here. But they've only allowed 2 running backs to hit 20 or more fantasy points. That's Christian McCaffrey and Devin Singletary. They have 2 running backs hit 15 to 20 PPR fantasy points. They've had 5 running backs scoring the 10 to 15 range, but there's only 3 games where they allowed 10 or less fantasy points to all running backs involved in that contest. Judging from this, you're looking at a projected output of him scoring somewhere between 10 and 15 fantasy points. If we get a little bit more, we're lucky, but he's more than likely going to score enough to get you by. The odds are saying that, looking at how the defense allows fantasy scoring to running backs, he should be getting some opportunity here, considering he's going to get a boatload of touches. He's got the speed to get it done. And then looking at the rankings here on 4 for 4, he's the RB24. So 4 for 4 has him up there, considering the rankings, considering they are very conservative. And he was back there a few spots just the other day, and he's moved up a little bit. When you look at him versus Devin Achane, you're going after Devin Achane for sure. Swift for sure, unless you're playing around a little bit. Him and Hubbard's kind of a push. I think Chandler might be in a little bit better situation, maybe not. Him and Ford's kind of a push. Chandler's going to get just as many touches. He's going to be getting those opportunities. Najee Harris or Chandler? Probably Chandler. Chandler or Connor? Probably Chandler. Chandler over Aaron Jones for sure. Chandler over Jaylen Warren, Kenneth Walker, Keaton Mitchell. Chandler's up there this week. It's not the greatest matchup, but it's a good matchup. It's an okay matchup. You got Nick Mullins here. You do not know what you're going to get. Maybe you can see him get some check down targets. Maybe we'll see that. Mullins likes to target the tight end. We've seen that as well, historically. Ty Chandler's got that speed off the edge. You might see him get a lot of carries. That might lead up to like 10 fantasy points, 11, 12. That's probably what we're looking at here with Ty Chandler. They got him projected with 12.1. Makes a lot of sense. If it goes bust, it's because Mullins goes bust, and it's horrific. That could happen. That's in the cards. We're not really betting against or with Ty Chandler. It's on Nick Mullins. But you need him because you need touches. You need upside. He's giving you all that this week. You got plenty of upside if you need to gamble. You're getting plenty of touches if you need it. You don't want to take on the risk, though, and I understand. That's why you wouldn't need him. You don't want to take on the risk. You don't want any of that big dick Nick action because that is scary. He could be a turnover machine. We don't want any of that either. That's scary. But Ty Chandler, nonetheless, kind of safe this week. Kinda. A little bit risky, but we got this much upside. And you know what? He's probably going to fall between 10, 11, 12 PPR fantasy points. Might hit the upside. Might hit the downside. More than likely, 10 to 12 range, probably. That's where I would guess it. Somewhere around there. I could be wrong. But baseline fundamentals, looking at what the Bengals defense is doing, I showed you the numbers there. Showing that he's going to get a lot of the workload because that's what's going to happen with Madison out. Showing him the upside. There's a chance he gets you a 20 spot. There's a chance Big Dick Nick over here just fumbles the ball all over the place and he gives you a 5 spot. Odds are likely 10 to 12 range right there in the middle. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.